everyone. Welcome back to Unclipped. It is season 2 of this here little podcast, and I'm your host, Imani Brown, aka the Spincess, aka that bitch, aka it girl, aka most hated. Just kidding about some of them. Oh my goodness, season 2, long time no see, everyone. Long time no talk as well, if you're just listening to this and not watching the video as well. So in this episode, I kind of just want to preface our little conversation by saying that I took a much needed break between season 1 and season 2. Things got a little hectic, and there were just some really challenging times, but I will say in contrast, there were a plethora of good things that happened between then and now, where I was in situations where I was completely validated and uplifted by other people. So, the hard times don't last forever, and where there are ebbs, there are flows. Where there are valleys, there are also peaks. But yeah, I also consider myself quite the lone wolf. If I could, I would just stay in my bed all day alone. Can't do that. But these challenging times did teach me that I probably should ask for help, learn to lean on other people, and maybe be a little bit more social. Not too much, though. Not too much. I'm an incredibly analytical person, and with that comes the fact that I don't really like to, it's just the way my brain works, I guess. I tend to reduce a lot of things to patterns. I mean, I think we encounter a lot of instances, especially with human behavior, where we can see trends and patterns. And so when I have a series of events that happen in my life, I sort of try to find an overarching theme, in a general lesson that I can learn from all these events compiled together. And through the challenges I've faced between December and it's April when I'm recording this, but it will be released on May 1st. Through the challenges that I've encountered the past few months, the overarching theme that I think has been present is pretty much just let them. By let them, I mean that there are people that we encounter that will be committed to misunderstanding us. They will be committed to misrepresenting us to other people. And whether or not that representation is in stark contrast to who you truly are, you need to know that it's not your responsibility to correct them. It's not our responsibility to attempt to convince them otherwise, and it's not our job to prove ourselves. The burden of sort of proving we are who we truly say we are is not our load to carry. And this is especially true when someone else's perception of you is based on an illegitimate or indirect interaction that they had with you. To these people, it doesn't matter what you do, how you behave, or how hard you work, their perception of you will remain unchanged. And if it does change, it will probably err on the side of more unfavorable than when this started. Now, people could have negative perceptions of you for a number of reasons. Envy of what you have or what you are, and they aren't, or it could be personal biases, discriminatory beliefs based on any or all of the communities that you are a part of, etc., etc. Whatever the reason is, though, I think a general idea that encompasses these negative perceptions of you is that people's perception, people's treatment of you has little to do about you and everything to do about them. So, granting those terms, it has nothing to do with you and everything to do with them. Why would you think that you changing any of your behavior would change their perception? All it is a waste of mental bandwidth, physical possibly as well. It will be a waste of time and energy to try to change something unequivocally unchangeable by anything that you do. So the concept of people's perceptions of you being independent of who you actually are is something that was first brought to my attention by one of my favorite pieces of literature, and it's called The Four Agreements. And basically the Four Agreements, I'm going to loosely use this term, but it's a self-help book. Side note, I hate the category like self-help. It's like kind of like, I don't know, embarrassing. Like, I don't need help. Just kidding. But it's just like seems a little tacky. Like it's giving like motivational speaker who's never actually accomplished anything and is just like teaching people how to accomplish stuff. Whatever. That's a me problem. But it's a self-help book that just tries to teach you to just live a more peaceful life. Offers sort of like a code of conduct to improve our lives, and it's based on ancient Toltec wisdom. And this code of conduct has like 4 essential pillars, and those are the 4 agreements. And the agreement that I'm going to be talking about today, or that I'm referencing when I'm talking about this, is the second agreement. So the second agreement basically asserts that you take absolutely nothing personally. It asserts that the moment that we take something personally, the perception that was projected or whatever was said about us becomes reality. So, for example, someone could call you the nastiest, dirtiest on the planet Earth. But if you know that's not who you are, like, then you're not going to take it personally. You know, the fact that they think you're a is not a reflection of you, rather a reflection of them. But the moment you allow yourself to take what they perceive of you as personally is the moment that you give it validity. Internalizing the thoughts of others, even when they concern the idea, the essence, the likeness of you, is breathing life into things that should have remained dead. And absorbing the negative feelings around somebody's thoughts about you is giving truth to falsehoods. And to be honest, that's a difficult concept, especially for me, to wrap your head around, because so many things, people's thoughts, people's perceptions of you can feel so deeply personal, and things they say about you can be so incredibly hurtful. But we must remember that if places inside of people are really dark and unhealed, it doesn't matter what we do, their perception of us will remain the same. Furthermore, we play a part in validating others' perceptions of us, not only by internalizing their ideas or thoughts about us, but also, especially when we think that there's a gross misrepresentation of us being put out there, or we're being villainized or what have you, we have the urge to fight back. Literally the first one online to want to fight back. Like, if you know me, I'm like coming through swinging every single time. Even if I think I might have to fight, it might be unnecessary, but you don't have to get ready if you stay ready. But yeah, I'm the first one to want to fight back. But I got to pull it back, reel it in a little, because that introduces some really unnecessary resistance in my life. I know probably in other people's lives. And we all have incredibly complicated and intricate lives that already have so many points of tension and contention alike. So why introduce another? Like, there's literally no reason to. The more we fight back, the less we are able to just be. Why was I tweaking just now? The more we fight back, the less we are able to just be. And with the finite amount of time and energy that we have on a day-to-day basis, we should spend more time actually being the person that we know that we are, instead of trying to prove that we are that person to other people. By releasing the burden of trying to constantly correct others' misconceptions of us, we liberate ourselves to live a more authentic life. Instead of engaging in battles to defend our image, we can channel our efforts towards embodying our true selves. So to really exemplify this idea of how putting your energy towards proving others wrong in their misconceptions or misperceptions of you sort of takes away from your actual character, I just kind of want to like oversimplify it a bit and provide an example. So say you volunteer at the local homeless shelter and you've done it for 11 years and you do it every weekend, right? Every weekend for like a decade, right? But some little starts a rumor about you that you're selfish and you don't give to anybody else but yourself, blah, 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 right? So you decide, because they told people that you're selfish and they think you're selfish, that you're going to start documenting your homeless shelter chronicles on Instagram. So every weekend that you go, you decide you're going to take pictures and post them to Instagram. So what you've done there is you've taken time away from actually doing the act, actually being who you say you are, which isn't selfish, and you've devoted to something else that seems a little selfish, right? So you took away energy from actually being that person, and you actually became less of that person. So you became less of that person, and here's the real tea. Their perception of you didn't change. It actually might have gotten worse. Like, they might actually have more evidence. Like, they might have a case there that you are selfish. But yeah, their perception of you remains unchanged, and now you're less of your authentic self because you're trying to prove people wrong. Your internalization of other people's ideas of you sort of made this like a prophecy. It made it come true. Like, now you, in a sense, are a little selfish. So I say all this today to say that in the past few months, between December and April, I spent a lot of time trying to convince people of who I am, who I know that I am, trying to convince them that I'm worthy of consideration, I am valuable, whatever else. I spent lots of time beating a dead horse. There are so many people that I encountered who will never see me for who I am. Unfortunately, there's lots of time and energy wasted, but we have lessons to learn. That's a good thing about it. And I can look back and see where I went wrong and not double back on that. I spent time and energy trying to convince people who thought I was bad that I am actually good, not realizing that that's a reflection of something in them and not in me. So it left me unfulfilled, exhausted, and without the energy to actually execute and exist as myself. I now realize that the only difference between who I am, who I say I am, who I am, and the person that they think that I am is the belief. So which one do I believe? Am I going to breathe life into the idea that I am bad, unvaluable, whatever other unfavorable opinions, or am I going to breathe life into the characteristics that I know that I possess, the person that I know that I am? I realized that seeking validation from other people was essentially just like a never-ending cycle that left me exhausted and without any self-worth. I sort of had a revelation that the power to define myself lies within me. It's my choice. And that really released me from the burden of constantly trying to prove myself to people who will never see my worth. To be honest, I think it's particularly hard for me to sort of like brush off people's negative perceptions of me because honestly, like I said, I'm a lone wolf. there's like 10 people that I really fuck with heavy like that. So when somebody has a negative perception of me and they exist outside that group of like 10 or so people, respectfully, you made that up. You really made that up, because here's tea. I'm autistic, and our encounter probably included the thickest mask you've ever seen. Jim Carrey has nothing on me. But I'll give it to you. If you feel some type of way about me, it's understandable. I'm not like other girls, and I'm mysterious and hard to perceive. On a more serious note, and to sort of wrap this up, I am very excited to be back. I think it's going to take a little bit for me to be comfy back in front of the camera, back on this mic. This mic kind of eats, like the audio eats, even though it's messing up on me. But I'm excited to be back here and excited to devote my energy to existing as my authentic self in this space. It's still hard. I'm still peeling back the layers like an onion again. I existed my whole life with a giant mask, and it's taking time to unveil myself. But Unclipped was like my first start to doing that, and that's why I started this podcast, and I'm excited to keep it going. I'm excited for you guys to be listening, watching. I want to know your ideas. I have tons of ideas for this season, but I want some ideas from you as well. So DM me, comment, what have you, share this, get the word out about Unclipped. And yeah, I will see you all. I will talk to you all in episode 2.